everybody over so they can see.
Okay.
Avian?
Yep. So you don't have to really overkill yourself on notes, but if you do keep some good notes, it's always good. The thing we're going to do is we're going to want to see what kind of facility, quote unquote, that you're keeping for your wildlife. And in this particular case, you're going to see that Shan has really set a standard in what you can do in a quality facility. Now, a couple of things. Now, she's dealing with songbirds and the like, so it's not a big liability issue. But in the rules that come with your licensing, it talks about double fencing. And double fencing is something that's going to protect you in liability instances. Now, Shan has double fencing. Can you see her double fencing, anybody? There you go. That's exactly right. So that's going to give privacy so that if she had a raccoon in here, the neighborhood kid's got to scale her privacy fence before his finger gets eat off. Okay? She also, in her aviary, has a double gate so that she doesn't lose birds going in and out and so forth. So that's a good thing. She's also got protection from the elements. You've got to have a roof that's going to protect them from inclement weather. She's got this drop-down shade that's going to protect them from the hot sun. And it gets August in Oklahoma. As you know, we're going to have a lot of critters that are, suffering from the heat. So all those things. I mean, it can be very involved. This might not be anything more than a large bird cage. I want to take care of only mockingbirds. Only mockingbirds. I'm hung up on mockingbirds, and that's all I'm going to deal with. Well, you may get 2 or 3 mockingbirds in a particular season. You don't need a giant aviary unless that's what you want to give them. Are they happier in that than they are in an ice chest sized cage? Absolutely. Just like you would be happier probably in a big home versus living in a efficiency apartment. Okay? So it's up to you. Your game warden is going to check your facilities to match what you intend to do. Okay? If you aspire to rehab deer, okay? We got a lot of folks that are kidnapping baby fawns. And I said kidnapping, not rescuing. Okay? Typically a lot of folks say, well, the baby was laying right there and the baby didn't get up and run off and the mama wasn't nowhere around, so I know it was abandoned. Well, everybody that knows anything about wildlife and deer know that their strategy for survival is to hide the baby. Mama's not going to come over and attack you. She's hiding 100 yards away watching you through the trees hoping you don't find the baby. So if the baby can be replaced to where it came from, that's what should be done first. But in the event Mama got splattered by a Chevrolet and here's the baby and what do? Okay, that one needs to be rehabbed. We don't want to imprint it as a human. Okay? It can be done very easily. We want that white-tailed deer to be a white-tailed deer. We want it to be in the wild, making more white-tailed deer. Okay? Being food for other critters and making more white-tailed deer for white-tailed deer. That's its job. So, your facility has to accommodate a deer. And a nice chest-sized cage ain't going to do it. And this cage wouldn't do it. Okay? And if you lived in the city of Tulsa, you're not going to be able to probably rehab white-tailed deer unless you've got an acreage and all that sort of thing. So we're going to come. We're going to make sure that everything is nice and secure. We're going to make sure that she doesn't have anything here that's going to hurt anybody. But if she had a coyote pup in here, this wouldn't work. Okay? We don't want something that's going to get somebody hurt in a situation where it escapes, okay, where somebody gets in. All right, so in some cases it's going to require locks, it's going to require you know, some very strong caging and that sort of thing. We've literally had bear cubs brought in. We've had I captured a mountain lion in Broken Arrow at the Rhema Bible School there on 71st Street. There's a full-grown mountain lion walking around that college with a collar on, and it's still wildlife species. Okay, obviously it was somebody's mountain lion, and we don't have anybody. It's my mountain lion. If you don't mind, give that back. They tend to disappear into the woodwork, and they don't want to be liable and responsible. So we got to find a home for it, and so it takes a very specialized rehabber to do something like that. But we're going to look this whole thing over, and Shan's got a privacy fence. That's fence 1, fence 2, a good structure, depending on what it is you want to do. Some rehabbers will say to me, well, how do I know how big my cage has to be? That's the biggest probably question, the biggest difficult gray area to discuss. Your cage needs to be the right size cage for the critter. Plain and simple. If it's baby birds, a shoebox will work. Okay? If it is a full-grown wild turkey with a broken leg and a broken foot, a shoebox won't work. Okay? And if it's something like a turkey that you're rehabbing, and that's an example, I've not had any turkeys here in Tulsa, but if you did have one, this would work for something like that. Okay? But you're going to work very closely with a veterinarian that's going to give all the medical attention. They typically donate that kind of stuff. Shan has one here. She'll show you, you know, if you've got a baby bird, it doesn't take much in the way of facilities, but she keeps us inside. And then after this guy gets big enough to where he can kind of hold his own with the other guys that are going to peck on him and give him a hard time in life, then when he's big enough, she's going to take him and let him go in here.